In an era where the European Union EU's true portrays itself as a beacon of democracy and human rights, its actions, especially the imposition of sanctions on China, reveal a starkly different narrative, one of hypocrisy, ineffectiveness, and self-sabotage. As the EU clumsily wields the blunt instrument of sanctions, it not only fails to address the root issues, but also risks alienating one of the world's major powers, undermining its own economic stability and global standing in the process. This approach, marred by a lack of strategic coherence and riddled with internal contradictions, exposes the EU's foreign policy as a theater of the absurd, where moral posturing trumps pragmatic diplomacy, and economic sanctions serve more as a declaration of impotence than as a tool of influence. Amidst this backdrop of diplomatic folly, one must ask, what is the true cost of these sanctions, and who really pays the price? As we delve into the depths of the EU sanctions saga, prepare for a journey through a labyrinth of political naivety, economic self-harm, and a misguided moral crusade that jeopardizes not just the EU-China relationship, but the very fabric of international cooperation. Stay with us till the end, as we uncover the inconvenient truths behind the EU's contentious stance on China, challenging the narratives and exposing the realities of a union at a crossroads. Hello and welcome back to Innovative Check YouTube channel, where we delve into the innovative and transformative projects changing our world. If you're new to the channel and enjoy learning about innovation stories around the world, you've come to the right place. Please subscribe, like, and comment to help boost our videos on YouTube. In the wake of the Brexit referendum in 2016, the atmosphere was thick with opinions and predictions about the future of both the United Kingdom and the European Union. Among these voices was Martin Schulz, then President of the European Parliament, who took it upon himself to critique the decision made by British voters. This moment was emblematic of the broader disconnect between EU officials and the citizens of its member states, a divide that has only deepened with time. The sentiment of relief that the UK would soon be free from the influence of such EU bureaucrats was widely felt, though the process of leaving the EU proved more protracted and complex than many had anticipated. Despite these challenges, the UK has moved on, and the names and opinions of EU parliamentarians, such as the current President Roberta Metsola from Malta, have faded into obscurity for most Britons. This shift away from EU-centric concerns is not an endorsement of ignorance regarding international affairs, but rather a reflection of the changed priorities and concerns that come with no longer being part of the EU. The UK's focus has turned inward and outward in new directions, unencumbered by the need to align with the EU's policies and politics. Just a quick reminder to hit the like button below. YouTube has been restricting my videos a lot recently because of bots, so your like does help out this video massively in terms of the algorithm in YouTube. The ongoing friction between the UK and the EU, particularly around issues like border management and trade agreements, underscores a persistent tension. The US approach, perceived as punitive by some, contrasts with the UK's efforts to maintain a level of cooperation and normalcy in its relations with the EU. Amid these tensions, a narrative has emerged within the UK, contrasting its own situation with that of the EU. This narrative often highlights the economic challenges and political instability within the EU, painting a picture of a union struggling to manage its internal dynamics and external perceptions. The Eurozone, in particular, is seen as a ticking time bomb, with Germany's economy, a long-time beneficiary of the euro, now facing recession. The Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development (OECD) reports that the UK's economic performance has outpaced that of major UAQA countries since leaving the Union. This is presented not as a cause for gloating, but as a reminder that the challenges facing Europe are not unique to the UK, and that the latter is not responsible for holding back the continent's progress. Political turmoil within the EU further complicates the picture. The rise of far-right and far-left movements, the disintegration of traditional political parties in countries like France and Germany, and the precarious political gambits in Spain and the Netherlands all signal a broader crisis of confidence in the US political model. The US struggle to reconcile national politics with its supranational structure is at the heart of many of these issues. The disconnect between the UI's institutions and the electorate in member states undermines the democratic legitimacy of the Union, creating a space where dissatisfaction and disenchantment can fester. Despite these challenges, the notion that the EU is on the brink of collapse is overly simplistic. the EU has demonstrated a remarkable capacity for managed politics, navigating crises with a mix of regulatory power and budgetary incentives. This approach has allowed the EU to maintain cohesion in the face of diverse challenges, but it has also led to comparisons with historical precedents like the Austro-Hungarian Empire, suggesting a complex and often unwieldy political entity that struggles to adapt and reform. In conclusion, while the EU faces significant challenges, both internally and in its relations with former members like the UK, it remains a formidable political and economic force. The issues at hand are not indicative of an imminent collapse, but rather of deep-seated structural and ideological conflicts that require thoughtful, nuanced solutions. For the UK, having moved beyond the immediate reach of the UE, the focus must now be on forging a new path forward, one that acknowledges the realities of its past ties to the Union while embracing the opportunities and challenges of the future. If you are enjoying this video so far, please don't forget to subscribe, share the video, and comment. However, the challenges that the ATO faces are not merely internal or limited to its economic policies and political dynamics. One of the most contentious issues in recent years has been the EU's approach to external relations, particularly its stance on sanctions. The case of China stands out as a poignant example, where the EU's strategy has sparked considerable debate and criticism. The EU sanctions on China, intended as a response to various concerns including human rights issues, have been a point of contention. Critics argue that these measures are not only ineffective, but also counterproductive, leading to economic repercussions without achieving meaningful change in behavior or policy. The complexity of the EU-China relationship, characterized by deep economic interdependencies, makes the imposition of sanctions a delicate matter. The EU's reliance on China for trade and investment complicates its position, raising questions about the feasibility and wisdom of using sanctions as a tool of diplomacy. Furthermore, the EU's approach has been criticized for its lack of coherence and consistency. While advocating for human rights and the rule of law, the EU faces accusations of selectively applying sanctions, often influenced by political and economic considerations. This has led to perceptions of double standards, undermining the EU's credibility and moral authority on the global stage. The impact of sanctions extends beyond the immediate economic domain, affecting the EU's strategic relationships and its role in global governance. The tension between the EU and China over sanctions has implications for international cooperation on a range of critical issues, from climate change to global health and security. At a time when global challenges require concerted effort and collaboration, the rifts created by sanctions can hinder progress and exacerbate geopolitical divisions. Moreover, the use of sanctions highlights the internal divisions within the EU. Member states have differing priorities and sensitivities regarding China, leading to debates about the balance between upholding values and protecting economic interests. These internal debates reflect broader questions about the EU's identity and direction, particularly in its foreign policy. As the EU navigates its relationship with China, it must grapple with the challenge of presenting a united front while accommodating the diverse perspectives and interests of its members. In addressing these criticisms, it is essential for the EU to reassess its strategy towards China and the use of sanctions more broadly. This involves a careful consideration of the objectives, tools, and consequences of sanctions, ensuring that they are part of a coherent and principled foreign policy. The EU must also work towards greater unity among its member states, fostering a consensus on how to engage with China in a way that reflects the EU's values and strategic interests. The dialogue with China should be multidimensional, encompassing not only points of contention, but also areas of potential cooperation. Engaging China on global issues, building mutual understanding, and exploring diplomatic avenues can provide a more constructive framework for addressing concerns and building a stable, productive relationship. This approach requires patience, diplomacy, and a willingness to find common ground, recognizing that sanctions, while a tool of policy, should not define the entirety of the EU-China relationship. As the EATO reflects on its stance towards China and its broader role on the international stage, it faces a complex set of challenges. The effectiveness of its actions, the coherence of its policies, and its ability to unite its member states will determine its capacity to navigate the intricacies of global politics in the 21st century, the path forward requires a balanced approach that weighs the moral imperatives against practical realities, striving for policies that are not only principled, but also pragmatic and effective. Thank you for your attention, and I welcome your thoughts and questions on this complex and vital subject. Do you want to watch more videos like this one? If yes, please like and share the video and subscribe to get exclusive videos about how phenomenally China is developing and growing its influence. Your subscriptions and likes motivate us to generate more content, so please keep supporting us. Check out this video showing on your screen right now, and I will see you on the other side.